Okay, so the private deployment is now live and only accessible from those VPCs that we cleared. That means no more public internet access and even more security. So in this one, we're going to play around with the private deployment. We're also going to stick with the command line this time so that you can see how to set up everything as an admin from that perspective. All right, so I've got my shell open. In fact, I've got 3 shells open. And so what we're gonna do in this one, if you recall back to the general usage video, so when we finished the normal deployment, we made some secrets, some keys and users and all of those different things. Well, we're gonna do the same thing here, except we're going to do it from the command line, and we're gonna show that you can only do it from instances or from services and servers inside of those cleared VPCs. So first up, let's head over to the AWS console. And I'm going to head into EC2 so I can take note of the IP addresses of those 2 instances that are in those 2 different VPCs. And we're going to go ahead and SSH into them. And yes, there are a lot in here, and I should have named them better, but the ones we're looking for are the ones with the external name. So here's my external 1 instance, and I'm going to SSH into it. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to just do this in my second tab. So we're going to do SSH EC2 user at the IP address. And this will let me in. And I'm going to just leave that there. And then in this third tab, I'm going to hop into the second instance. And I'm going to grab we'll do the DNS for variety again. Do SSH EC2 user at the whole big long DNS name there. And we'll get the same result. And now we're in. So first up, let's go ahead and hop over to the first instance, and I'm going to also hop over to my editor and take a look at those credentials because we need that root token. So if you recall, the first thing that we did when we were setting up everything in the general usage is we logged into the web user interface. Well, to do that, the command line equivalent of that here is going to be vault login and then the token, just the token value. Now, this isn't going to work right now because we haven't told Vault where our vault is. So the first thing we need to do is export that environment variable. So vault address, which for me is at secrets.hatrackapp.io. And now we can do the vault login, the root token itself. And here we'll see, hey, you're authenticated. Good job. You win, right? Okay, cool. And let's do a vault secrets list. And so this is the equivalent of if you were on that secrets page, that main secrets page, and you just wanted to see that big column of all the different secrets that exist. Well, that's what this is the equivalent of doing. And we don't have anything other than just the default secrets that are made with Vault when you first set it up. So we're going to make some there. But before we do that, let me just show you that this is now locked down. If we come over to just my first tab, this is just my machine. And we try the same thing. So let's do export vault address. And we will do secrets.hatrackapp.io. And we'll try to also log in with that root token. Well, I'm going to just give you a spoiler alert. This is just going to hang. It's going to hang because it's unreachable. We can't get to it. So I just wanted to show this so that you do know that now it is closed off and locked down. Well, let's continue with our workflow here. We can come back and look at the nasty red message later. So the first thing we did, if you recall, after we logged in as our root user into the web UI, and after we took a look at the nice big list of the default secrets, is we enabled a secrets engine. And so that's what we're going to do here first. And the way that you do that is you say vault, hey, let's talk about secrets, right? So this is like being on the secrets tab. And then specifically, let's enable a type of secret. And what type? Well, we want to enable those KV secrets, right? Those key value secrets. So if you recall that screen that all those different type of secrets engines you could turn on, one of them was called KV. Well, that would almost be right, excuse me, except for 2 things. First up, we don't want to work with just KV. We want to work with KV version 2. Right? So version 2 is what we want, and it's what's suggested that you stick with. But the second thing is if we just do it like this, it's just going to name the little secret, the little path for all these new secrets, because we can see there's paths here for cubbyhole, identity, and sys. We're not going to get into those. We don't want to name this KVV2. We want to call it secret. So the way you do that is you pass an option called path, and this is how you name the path that all these secrets are going to be at, or all these key values are going to be at. And I'm going to just call it secret. Secret. And then return. And here we go. If we do a vault secrets list. Okay, we'll see now we've got our new one. The type is secret, the path is secret. We have the KV engine here, and it's got the accessor and no description because we didn't put one. So now we have the equivalent of when we set up that first engine. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to just put in a secret, right? So something simple. So Vault, let's talk about the key value stuff, and let's put in a key value, and we're going to put it in at the path secret DBA. We'll just do DBA for database admin, and we'll just put in a value called dbpwd, so password. And we'll put in a key value pair of value equals ABC 1, 2, 3. And by the way, you can just put space and do like more values and it'll store both of them. That's perfectly fine as well. And it doesn't have to be called value or anything. I'm just trying to keep this simple though. So let me put that back. So I'm going to store this value, and it's going to let me. So just to see, let's do a vault kv list secret DBA. We'll see we've got that key. Let's do a vault kv get secret DBA DB PWD. And of course, we'll see that that works. We can see the metadata and everything. And by the way, if you just want to get the value, you can just before right after get here, just do field equals value. And here we go. We'll just get the value. So this is a little bit more useful if you're doing some scripting. So let's put some other secrets here. So we've got a DBA value. Let's put some dev secrets in. So this is the equivalent of us making a new secret, typing the path, putting in those values. So that's what we've done. So we're going to say vault kv. Let's put a new secret at the path secret dev, and we'll do API key, and we'll put in a value, if I can spell, XYZ. There's a bit of lag going on right here. There we go. 456. All right, great. So there's that one. And then we'll do another one, vault kv put secret dev other key value. We'll just do TUV 789. My creativity is at its peak right now. Okay, great. So now let's just do some basic operations. Let's just make sure that they're there and that this isn't lying to us. Let's get that API key. Yep, great. Let's filter down to just the value. Value. Oop, not value. The field is value. And by the way, this field equals value it's getting the actual field here value, right? The value itself. So even though I've named the key value, we're getting the value. There's a little bit of, just in terms of what you do there, that can be a little bit confusing. So to clarify what I mean by that, I don't want to get too deep into Vault specifics. I'm going to just grab this command we did up here, vault kv put, a bunch of stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it now. I'm going to overwrite that value to more just for the fun of it. And so I'm going to do more. And now we're going to do vault kv get, and we'll do field equals value. And we need to get it at the path secret dev other key. And if we do that, it's going to say, hey, there's no such thing as a field called value. Well, of course there's not, because we changed it to more. And if we do that, if we change the field to more, of course, we can now get the value itself. So anyhow, I just figured I'd show you some simple stuff like that. But let's change that back to the original value. So the value itself. And you'll notice here that versions are incrementing. Every single time that we change one of these, the version is going to increment, which is very useful. So let me clear this output up here. We've got a lot going on. So a vault kv list secret dev, and this, make sure you add that trailing slash, and this is going to show us all the keys that we've got there. We can also do it for DBA, but we only added one. So there's some simple operations. Now all of this is working flawlessly because we're logged in with the root token. But now let's hop over to our second instance and let's try and do some stuff over here. So if we do a vault kv get secret dev API key, well, you probably know that this is not going to work because we have not told Vault where it is that we need to go sending requests to. So first thing we need to do is to tell it about it to this vault address environment variable again. Well, I just skipped stuff and I've got some latency here. Secrets.hatrack.app.io. Now let's try and do that same command. And of course, it's not going to work because it's forbidden. We don't have a token. We're not logged in at all. So if you recall back to what we did in the general usage, after we put in some tokens and stuff, we went and we enabled the user password vault authentication method, right? And there are a variety of methods, but we just stuck with good old user pass. So the way you do that is you type vault and you say auth. So we're telling Vault here that we're talking about the different auth engines. And we're going to enable what type? The user pass type. Now, if you're like, where are you just pulling these words, out of thin air? No. Remember, this is all just in documentation, but I don't want to get too deep into the Vault usage itself. There's quite a bit out there. Again, this is more about the deployment, just getting some, basics down. But if you do want to see more about it, just over in the documentation here, under auth methods, here's all of those different methods, and I've got the user pass auth method here, and it just goes through and shows you some general examples, although you'd think that they would show you more. However, most of the details around any given auth method are in the HTTP API documentation, where they go through and show you all of the different paths that you can go through, and we'll take another look at that here in just a second. So let's go ahead and enable this method. So now that it's enabled, what do we do next? Well, we created a user. So let's create a developer user here. So how do we do that? Well, you might think that we're going to just stick with the auth command, but that's not the case. The thing is when we enable just working with Vault in general, almost everything goes with the concept of key value stores, puts and gets. And that's what we have to do here as well. We actually need to put a key value pair or a set of key value pairs to a path. And where do we put those? Well, let's take a look here. If we look at the create update user, it turns out that after we enable this method, there is a path, right? Auth user pass users. And if we send a post request there, which you don't have to worry about that because we'll do it through the CLI, we also need to include the name of the user. And when we do that, we can pass it all of these different parameters here. And these different parameters are things that can get stored. So just to show it to you, so let's take a look at one of our earlier methods when we put in a method. So this should look pretty familiar in comparison to this, right? But instead of putting to auth user pass users, we're putting it in secret dev other key and then here. And of course, like I said, if we wanted to come here and put other equals, ZXC4345, right? Well, we'll get a new version. And if we do a vault kv get secret dev other key, we'll see that, hey, there's actually two pieces of data in there now, right? Well, that's the same thing. When you create a user, you're effectively putting in a key value pair or putting in a set of key value pairs at this path. But this path means something to Vault. So let me clear this up. And so to make a new user, we need to say Vault. We're talking about key values here. We're going to put one in, well, at this path, at the auth user pass users. And we want to make a new user, so we need to give it a name. We need to give this path a name. Let's just call it developer Don, just because we used Don earlier. And what do we need to pass to it? Well, we don't need to pass a username because that's implied by putting it in there. But we do need to pass in a password. So let's do a password of developer pwd. And when we do this, well, there we go. We've written in the data and now a user exists. So this is the equivalent of when we finished making that first user. So let's try it out. Let's hop over to this second instance here. Let's do a vault login method equals user pass. And we did this when we were going through. So this shouldn't look like anything new. Username equals developer Don. Password equals developer pwd. And when I do this, it is going to go and say, hey, perfect, you're authenticated, and you've got the default policy, and you're ready to go. But if you recall, we know that this isn't going to work, and it's not going to work because why? Well, we only have the default policy, which does not give us the permission to do anything with this path here. So that brings us to what we need to do next. And what we need to do next is make a policy. So back over as my admin user, I'm going to just do a touch dev policy.hcl. So this is using the HashiCorp language to make these policies. So I'm going to make that, and you can use whatever text editor you want here. I'm going to just use Vim because I know it's on Amazon Linux. I'm going to hop into here and go into insert mode by pressing I. You can press A, but I usually just press I. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to put a comment here. Got a bit of latency. Allow policy holder to list all dev keys. So that's the first thing. And then on the next line, I'm going to put in secret metadata dev with a slash, open up some braces here, and capabilities are the list. So this is going to let whoever's holding this policy list all of the secrets. And so now I'm going to go down here. And again, if you're trying to follow along with Vim, you can use nano, just nano, and then you can use arrow keys and stuff. But even if you are just using Vim, you probably want to just stay in insert mode. And to get into insert mode, you just make sure you press I or A, and then you can use the arrow keys if you want. But anyhow, the next thing is we're going to allow the policy holder full control of dev secrets. And in here, we've got another path at secret data dev, and then we're just going to do the wildcard, which means everything under this path. Open some curly braces. Capabilities are this array here of create, read, update, and delete. So we've got the CRUD there, close the brackets, and this is all we need. And we walked through this policy in the general use, so I'm not going to really spend any time on it. And when you're done, if you are following along in Vim, just make sure you press escape so you don't see that insert thing down there. Press the colon and then press the WQ and press enter, and that'll save the file. Okay. Anyhow, so we've got the policy made. That's like when we were in the UI, we made the policy, but unlike there, even though we made the policy, we've only made it on this instance. We haven't actually told Vault about it. So we've got the policy here. To tell Vault about the policies, we need to type Vault and then policy. So now we're talking to Vault about policies, and we need to use the command write. And then after that, we need to name the policy. So you can name this whatever you want, but I'm going to just keep it consistent with what we named the little file we made here, and just do dev policy. And then I'm going to just direct it to the path at this file. And it looks like I've got an error here just in the document I just made. It looks like I tried to give it the permission updated instead of update. So I'm going to open this back up again. Yep, sure enough, right there, I've got updated. So let's just get over to it. We'll just get rid of the D there, and then do another WQ to save it. And with that, now we should be able to actually write it. So there we go. So now the policy is there. So once you've uploaded the policy, how do you see all of the policies, right? Because we could see that in the UI. Well, you just do Vault policy list, and we can see there's that default policy, the root policy, and there's our dev policy. We saw that. Now, in the UI, when we went and attached a policy to the user, it seemed much like very intuitive. You go, you edit the user, and then you assign the policy, you type it in and go. However, the way it actually works is you need to overwrite the entire thing. So what I mean by that is you might think that there's some like KV edit. So we've got our command up here, right? We had to put in this whole thing. We actually have to put in the whole thing again. If you want to update a user here, you got to put in the exact same settings plus the new settings that you want. So I'm going to just grab this whole thing here, copy it, paste it down here. And in addition to password, we also need another field called token policies. And if we take a look here in the documentation, here we go, token policies, a list of policies, then code on to generate tokens, blah, 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 blah. This is just in plain English, this is how you associate policies with this user, right? And so we need to give them the name of this policy, which is dev policy. So I'm going to do that. And in doing so, once it's done, let's say, okay, perfect. So now developer done, we've got the same password and we have the token policy. Now I know that you might think, well, it would be better if, you didn't have to overwrite everything. Yeah, but at the same time, this does make it very clean. Okay, so now let's hop back over to our developer user here. Can they do anything? No, they cannot get, by the way, I just pressed up to get that previous command that we ran, and it's not going to work. And it's not going to work because when you log in, again, you get a token for that one session. And that token is bound to just these policies. So the token that we have doesn't know that it has that new tokens will have new policies. So to do so, you just log in again. So to log in again, I'm going to just press up a couple times here. There we go. Log in again, and this time we will see the dev policy is now included. And so because of that, we should be able to list all of those dev secrets. So I'll do a vault kv list secret dev. And there we go. We can see there's those two keys. And if we do a vault kv get secret dev API key, we will see that we can get the values here. There we go. Got a little bit of latency here. And then I'm going to do it again for the other key just to show it. And there we go. We can see there's that there's that key that we listed with those other values. However, if we try and do a vault kv list secret DBA, well, we know that's not going to work because our user does not have permissions to do that. Okay, so one more thing, if we hop back over to my computer here, we can see that, hey, it didn't work. We can't get to it. So that's just to show that, even from this computer, even though it's got a domain name and everything, we cannot reach it. That only resolves anything significant if you are in those two VPCs that we cleared. Okay, so in reality, despite the fact that we are here using the Vault CLI, you'll probably use that in shell scripts, but if you're coding in something like Node, Python, or Go, or any of those different languages, you're probably going to be interacting with the HTTP API. However, if you are on doing some basic Vault admin stuff, if you're coming here running as the Vault user, when you're done, you do need to do some cleanup just for security stuff. The first thing you need to do, if we do an ls-la, which is going to show all files, there's two problematic files in here. The first one is vault token, and this has our token information in, so someone could come in and look at that and we'd be compromised. And the second one's bash history, because if we type history, we can see the password of developer Don here, which is not good. So the two things you need to do are do an rm to remove the vault token. So that effectively logs us out. And then you need to do a history tag C, which will clear the history, and then history tag W, which will then write the current history, which is nothing to bash history. And once you're done there, you can just do an exit to leave the instance. And then over here, I'm going to do the exact same thing, do an RM, the vault token, and then do the history stuff. There we go. And then once I'm done there, I'll go ahead and exit and be done. And there we have it. We are now at the end of our journey. As I've said earlier, what we've done just scratches the surface of what you can do with Vault. And also there's a great deal more that you can do with Vault on AWS, the project itself, especially if you know Terraform. If you're already using Terraform to manage your infrastructure, well, you can pull it in as a module and integrate it into your code base, customize it further, and I'll leave that the rest of that for the documentation. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the series. I hope the project helps you out. If it did, be sure to check out my other guides and videos, as well as check out awsdevops.io if you want to learn more about real-world AWS and DevOps workflows here. There's courses about infrastructure as code, security, AWS, and plenty of other topics. All right, so that's all for me. Thanks for watching.